All right, I have to leave in about. Hello, my name is Dave Zick, and I have to leave here in 10 minutes in order to make a doctor's appointment on time. So, being that I have this time constraint naturally imposed upon me, I would be more efficient at doing a sales pitch for a lawsuit. I am looking for a lawyer to represent me for First Amendment violations in particular, and also for the city having imposed cruel and unusual punishment upon me for a period of time of approximately 5 years. The first period of time is a 3-year period in which I was homeless in Fort Collins, and I was subjected to Fort Collins City Ordinance 17-181, which is called camping, public property camping. And I received several tickets during this period of time. The first ticket I lost, I had representation, court-appointed representation, and I had to pay a penalty, a fine of $125. The second two, I represented myself, and basically the city rolled over instead of exposing its law to the light of judicial review and an appeal. So they null prosequed me. Yet at the same time, it's easy to prove that I have standing for a civil lawsuit against Fort Collins, and I will do that right now. So the case in which I would like to lean upon and use very heavily is what is that case? It's Elrod v. Burns. Okay. Elrod v. Burns says that if one loses one's First Amendment, that if one loses one's first, if not one loses, even minimal periods of time where one gets one's First Amendment rights violated constitutes and comprises and is sufficient to induce irreparable harm. And irreparable harm is a sufficient condition for standing for a lawsuit. So let me demonstrate how Fort Collins City Ordinance 17-181 induced irreparable harm vis-a-vis my First Amendment rights being violated for minimal periods of time for each day of the year that I was homeless in Fort Collins. Fort Collins City Ordinance 17-181 has the following verbiage in it, where it tries to define camping vis-a-vis. This is verbatim. Camping shall mean to sleep, to spend the night, to reside or dwell temporarily, with or without bedding or other camping gear, and with or without shelter, or to perform activities of daily living, such as eating or sleeping at such place. Camping shall not include incidental napping or picnicking. So that's the definition of camping. Now, the second so-called clause, if you separate it into several parts, is to spend the night. Now, there's another law, Fort Collins City Ordinance 1740, which makes it illegal to trespass on the private property. The entirety of the city consists of private property and public property. While this cannot be proven, it cannot be disproven by the zoning ordinances. This is common parlance notion of how this is used. The zoning ordinances, there's 26 zones. Anyway, it doesn't define public property or private property, and therefore this notion that the city comprises only of public property and private property cannot be negated, and it holds forth. The city consists entirely of private property and public property and nothing else. So if you can't be on public property, you must be on private property and vice versa, one or the other. Now, the law makes it illegal for me to be on private property. The law 1740, trespassing. I have no right of my own, such as the right to host people who are, private property owners. And the law, the other 17181 camping law makes it illegal for me to be on public property for the entirety of each night because it makes it illegal to spend the night. It's illegal to spend the night. Therefore, it's illegal for me to be in the city of Fort Collins when I was homeless, which is a 3-year period of time. So it was illegal for me to be doing anything in the city for at least a minimal period of time each night. The word minimal is the verbiage of Elrod v. Burns. And so my First Amendment rights were violated because it'd be illegal for me to be expressing or exercising any of my First Amendment rights during a minimal period of time each city. The period of time in which I was banned or banished, which is a legal post-convictive form of punishment if you're a sex offender. But this is a pre-convictive mandate by law. It's part of the law itself. It requires people to do a post-convictive kind of punishment upon themselves in order to comply with the law. And that is to leave the city for a part of each night. So this establishes irreparable harm. The cost of complying with the law was at least $2,000 over a 2-year period. I had a car for 3 years. It was inoperable for 2. I was sleeping in my car for 3 years, and I also stayed in all of the shelters in Fort Collins when I could. But there was insufficient shelter space, so I was unable to be in the shelter almost all the time. The ratio of homeless to shelter space permitted by the city, I mean, not permitted, but mandated by the city, is technically speaking 2 to 1 if you use the HUD pig count numbers, but it's likely closer to 7 to 1. If you use the 1983 study of how inaccurate the HUD pig count numbers are, which they undercount by a factor of 10, it would be even worse. So I was forced to stay on public property, and then I was forced to leave the city by this law. And so I was forced to do so because my car was inoperable by bus. And I was unable to do this in the summer because the buses run in such a way that it's you can't leave the city at night during the summer because the buses stop running before sunset. But during the winter and the fall, it costs $2 a day. The cost of this over a 700-day period, which is 2 years, is $1,400. If you multiply by 7, that's roughly $10,000. So what I'd be asking for is closer to $60,000 to $80,000 because of cruel and unusual punishment, which was imposed upon me. And it has been proven in the case of only one homeless person so far, ACLU versus City of Fort Collins, ACLU, Adam Weinmold. Now, my circumstances aren't the same as Adam's. They weren't the same, but I can prove it using an alternative argument rather than the strict Martin Boise type of argument that Adam used. I'm welcome and open to Martin Boise type of arguments as well. But I have a different argument. I think it's very simple, and I'm not going to give it here. All that I've done here is this is a sales pitch. I'm looking for attorney representation for a civil suit lawsuit against the city of Fort Collins. It could be either federal or it could be state, or preferably both. Federal and state lawsuit against the city of Fort Collins and representatives therein for having made this unconstitutional law, Fort Collins City Ordinance 17-181, which violates my First Amendment rights every single day for minimal periods of time. Thank you. My telephone number is 970-632-0570. My email is lodestone222@gmail.com. That's LOADSTONE@gmail.com. Thank you. Have a good day. I hope you consider this case. I hope you represent me. Thank you. Bye.